DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here. Glad you joined us. Today, our guest is Dr. Bob Larson. We're going to talk about bulls. We're going to talk about yearling bulls. We're going to talk about the adult bulls in the herd, things that you need to be watching for, things that you need to be checking on. Hope you stick around, and I hope that you enjoy this show.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America. A place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Folks, welcome to DocTalk. Bob, welcome back.
It's good to be here, Dan.
Folks, this is Dr. Bob Larson. He's a professor here in the Department of Clinical Sciences at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, where he is the Coleman Chair of Production Medicine. And Bob, you spent a lot of time working on bulls and a lot of stuff in cow-calf herds, and you know that's 50% of our genetics.
That's right.
Running around.
No, those bulls are very important. They make a huge impact on the genetics selection and where we're going with the herd, and as well as obviously the fertility. I mean, if a cow goes bad, it affects one animal, but if a bull goes bad, it affects all the cows that he's going to breed.
Absolutely. So as we start in there, you know, we'd talk before the show and kind of getting organized, but let's start in on that yearling bull, picking out that new bull, the new genetics coming into the herd.
Exactly. One of the things that I think is important to realize is those yearling bulls are different than our mature bulls. They're different in a lot of ways. First of all, that's usually who we're buying. So we're making our purchase decision with those young bulls. And the good thing is they have a lot of potential in front of them. The bad thing is we don't have any calves on the ground to really evaluate them.
Right.
And so we use tools like expected progeny differences, EPDs, those mathematical calculations that predict how well those bulls' calves will do. And we pick bulls based on EPDs, based on physical soundness, based on the really the reputation of the seller. We want bulls that can go from where they were raised into our operations, into commercial cow-calf operations, and really do very well there. So selecting those bulls is a very important first step.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that you touched on, the reputable bull providers. They're there for a reason. And,
yeah.
And sometimes if you don't have the experience of looking at EPDs or the experience of having an eye for animals, you know, going with one of those reputable breeders might be your best bet.
You know, agriculture is still very much a industry where relationships are really important, and building those relationships where your suppliers are someone that you can trust and you really go to is important when we talk about bulls.
Absolutely. So when we start to, you know, we buy them, but then we have to make sure that they're
one of the most, like I said, fertility on bulls is absolutely critical. And these young bulls have only recently reached puberty. And so we want to use them within just honestly a few months after they reach puberty. And so we're assessing whether they are really mature enough to go out and breed cows. And the only way we can do that is a breeding soundness exam. And that's a complete physical exam, as well as getting a semen sample and looking at the semen under the microscope. And that's a really important first step, because a fair number of these bulls just aren't mature enough when I want them to be. We're asking these young guys to go out and start breeding cows at a fairly young age. Most of them can do it, but we see anywhere from 10 to 20% of young bulls that really aren't mature enough to go out and breed. And again, the only way to know that is to do a breeding soundness exam.
Cool. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about nutrition, body conditions, score, and some of the acclimation or social aspects of those yearling bulls, and then we'll jump into the adult bulls. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. More with Dr. Bob Larson after these messages.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Lee Michaels is a student at the University of Minnesota College of Veterinary Medicine. He recently received the Merck Animal Health Student Recognition Award. Raised on a dairy in Wisconsin, Lee developed a passion for dairy production, and at school he spent much of his time working with the Production Animal Medicine Club. Upon graduation, he hopes to practice in a rural Midwest community.
Some call it a come-from-behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
Hi, I'm Kevin Ochsner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman and Colorado Rancher. Join me each week as the National Cattlemen's Beef Association brings you the latest updates in industry information and market news. Plus, each week we provide important educational information and features on cattlemen from across the country just like you. And we can't forget our favorite cowboy poet, Baxter Black. Join me for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, debuting Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern, right here on RFD TV.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by Norbrook Laboratories, manufacturers of Enroflox 100, the newest addition to your arsenal for treating bovine and swine respiratory disease.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Bob Larson, who is a professor in clinical sciences and is the Coleman Chair of Production Medicine here at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. Does a lot of work around the country and around the world on bulls, on infectious diseases, on production problems, and production advancements and management. But that after we get the breeding soundness exam, we've picked out the right bull.
Right.
We know they're fertile. Now it's time to introduce them to the herd. What are some of the things we're going to focus on with these bulls?
Well, a term, and I didn't invent this term, but I like it, is that these bulls need to be breeding athletes. They're going to be covering a lot of ground, so they need good feet and legs. They need to be in good body condition, meaning that they will lose weight out in that breeding pasture because they're walking so many miles. So I want to start them with just a little bit of extra body fat. So on a 9-point body condition scoring scale, something like about a body condition 6 is where I would like those bulls. Don't want them to be overfat. Overfat, we can have some problems with fat setting up in the scrotum. We can have just problems with just movement out in the pasture. So we're looking for that perfect medium. So a good body condition where they've got a little extra body fat to serve as excess energy, but not over fat.
Because they will lose that BCS as the breeding season goes on, fighting with other bulls, covering cows. It's going to be it's good to have them a little bit over conditioned.
Just a little bit, because they will lose weight. So they need to be able to, after a couple of months, they've lost weight and they're still just about right. And so that leads us to things like making sure that they're exercised. We like to develop these bulls in pretty large pens and force them to walk and really get some exercise before they go out to that breeding pasture. because we are going to ask them to walk a lot of distance, and they've got to be ready to go. We like to have them socialized so that they spend some time with the group of bulls that they will be with in the breeding pasture. So we don't turn them out with a new set of buddies right at the start of the breeding season, because they'll spend their time establishing the pecking order instead of breeding cows. So we want them to be socialized and used to the other bulls that they will be with, so that when they go out to the breeding pasture, they're ready to focus on their job.
Yeah, and that's also important, not just to focus on their job, but injury prevention and,
yes,
and not getting a crippled bull, especially those young ones.
Yes, exactly right. You know, that's one of the things we're going to watch real closely. Bulls, they're big, they're aggressive. We do worry about injuries, hurting themselves, hurting each other, and so starting off, good socialization, good body condition, and then just keep an eye on them and make sure that they stay healthy.
Sure. So talk to me a little bit about the socialization. I bring do you quarantine those bulls first when you bring home the young bulls, and then move them into some of the paddocks or into some of the pens? Or
yes, I really do like to get those bulls ahead of the breeding season, far enough that, first of all, I can get them used to my operation, to the forages and the feed that I'm going to be using, a chance to interact with the other bulls they're going to be with, and just, so that I don't want to purchase bulls right up to the time I want to use them. I'd like a little time for them to acclimate and get used to the surroundings before they go out.
Perfect. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, folks, more with Dr. Bob Larson. We're going to move into talking about some of those issues and potential management strategies for the adult bulls. So don't leave us. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action, because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
Beef producers asked for it, and Norbrook delivers. Introducing new Enroflox 100, the newest addition to your arsenal for treating bovine respiratory disease. Enroflox 100 is an FDA-approved, ready-to-use injectable antimicrobial solution to treat BRD associated with Mannheimia hemolytica, Pasteurella multocida, and Histophilus somni in beef and non-lactating dairy cattle. Administered SQ as a multiple-day therapy. Consult with your veterinarian today about Enroflox 100, the new choice. Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why DocTalk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net. True Test Group, weighing systems, electronic identification, EID, electric fencing, and dairy automation systems help farmers and ranchers around the world manage the performance of their livestock for ultimate profitability.
Folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson and Dr. Bob Larson. We are from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University, where Bob serves as the professor, the Coleman Chair and Professor of Clinical Sciences, does a lot of work with cow-calf units, feedlot units, anything pretty much beef industry, you cover it.
I like anything that's beef cow
or
steer.
He covers nutrition, theriogenology, teaches theriogenology here at the College of Veterinary Medicine, and so really is a valued resource for the beef industry nationally, and we're lucky to have him on the show. Bob, we talked about the yearling bulls. Let's talk a little bit about the adult bulls and some of the things that we need to be paying attention to there.
Exactly. The adult bulls generally are bulls that we've had on our operations for a while. So we know that they were healthy and passed a breeding soundness exam last year, but we need to make sure that they're ready to go into this breeding season. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with a bull, and again, a good breeding soundness exam where you do, first of all, a good physical exam. Because some of the things that can go wrong with a bull are not with the reproductive tract. It's feet and legs, just general health, those kinds of things that would really keep him from going out and covering cows. Right. So I want to do a really good physical exam, check those feet and legs, check the reproductive organs, the penis, the prepuce, the scrotum, make sure everything's in good shape, and then, again, like with the yearling bulls, get a semen sample and look at it under the microscope. Because just because a bull was fertile last year doesn't necessarily mean he will be this year. There's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Yeah, and what are some of those things that can cause infertility in an adult bull?
A couple of the things that we worry about the most are heat damage. The good thing is that's relatively short-lived, but by short-lived I mean, and that heat damage might be a fever due to illness in the bull. Mm-hmm. It can just be hot, humid weather. And that will really decrease fertility for up to 6 weeks. And when you're talking about a 7, 8, 9 week breeding season, 6 weeks is a long time. Yep. The other thing that we really worry about is really anything that lowers a bull's testosterone will hurt fertility. And the things that lower testosterone are stress and illness. And so we just want that bull to be in good physical shape. So we don't want to have any nutritional stress. We don't want to have any physical or social stress. So we really want to take care of those bulls really well in those weeks leading up to the breeding season so that they're ready to go.
Good. Anything else? I mean, obviously working with your local practitioner is hugely important on these breeding soundness exams.
Yeah, like you said, I get to teach veterinary students about reproduction. And one of the most important things that I think we as veterinarians do is the breeding soundness exam. Just again, because that bull is so important to the overall herd fertility. One bull that goes bad can make a big difference. And so a really good, thorough physical exam and breeding soundness exam is one of the most important things that your veterinarian does with you. And again, like we talked about with the bull supplier, it's developing that long-term relationship where you can really trust each other to do the best for everybody's interest.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a break. Get your bull tested, get it into your local veterinary clinic, get your breeding soundness exam on your bulls before you turn them out. We're going to wrap up on discussion on bulls with Dr. Bob Larson after these messages.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Beringer Engelheim Vetmedica, Inc.
Howdy, this is Kurt Pate with your Beef Quality Assurance Tip of the Day. To me, the beef industry is made up of a whole different segment and style of stockmen and producers. One thing that is common with all of us is we have to handle cattle. Whether you wear a cowboy hat or a ball cap, it doesn't matter. We all have to figure out a style that works for us, that creates calm cattle that will work effectively wherever we're trying to put them. This is so important for our industry, for our image, for our profit, and for just the total well-being of our animals and humans. So what we want to do is really search out and find the best practices we can use for stockmanship. Find what works with your style. If you like a cowboy kind of a style, find out how to do that low stress and effective. If you're not a cowboy, if you ride a four-wheeler, figure out what works with those mechanisms. We have got to learn how to create cattle that are calm and work well for us.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
must be an inherited trait, because I have never wanted to do anything other than be in the cattle business. And it's interesting, as I have grandchildren now, little bitty ones, all they want to do is go to the barn, swing a rope, and be a cowboy. It's something, it's a lifestyle that we have, the way we make a living, obviously. But it's really more than that. It gives us the opportunity as a family to be able to work together and enjoy each other's company and make a living at the same time. We've been using Triangle for years, and the reason we do it's been safe and effective, and we're going to continue to do that. We'll put the cows in the chute twice a year, spring and fall. 100% of our cattle get vaccinated with Triangle.
Working your cattle just got easier. Introducing the new Vet Gun delivery system, a new way to apply topical insecticides to your cattle. The Vet Gun lets you remotely treat cattle with effective parasite control, so you can do it just walking among the herd. It's that simple. The proven topical insecticide AML Vet Cap is used with the Vet Gun. It works fast to control horn flies and lice while minimizing stress on your cattle. Fast, easy, effective. Vet Gun. Check with your animal health supplier for availability.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Folks, welcome back to Doc Talk, and Bob, it's been a good show.
Oh, I like to talk about bulls.
And so we're going to talk a little bit more about bulls.
All right.
But, you know, there are some things that we were talking about, you know, before or during the break about things beyond the BSE.
Yeah, that breeding soundness exam, or BSE, is really important to make sure that he's a good breeding candidate. But then, you know, the proof is when he goes out there and actually works. And so one of the things that I encourage producers to do is to actually watch those bulls in the breeding pasture. Make sure that, you know, a lot of mating happens at night when we don't see them and those kinds of things, but I want to make sure that those bulls really are out there actively breeding. So one of the things that I encourage people is however often you go out and check those breeding pastures, and try to do it as often as you can. For some producers that might be every day, and others it might be once a week when they take salt out. But however often you check those breeding pastures, really spend some time looking at those bulls. Don't just assume that because they're there, they're healthy. So if they're laying down, make sure they get up. And what I'm looking for there, I'm watching the feet and legs, because that's some of the areas that they can be fine at one day and end up lame and not interested in mating right after that. Check their underline. What I'm looking for there is damage to the penis or the testicles, those kinds of things. And so again, I'm not putting them into a squeeze chute and giving them a full physical exam, but just look at them really close. So get them up, make them walk, check their underline, and then also just kind of check their body condition and their overall health. Again, I'm looking for any reason that those bulls will have health issues, injuries, that it might be that if it's an injury, they can't mate. If they have health issues, their testosterone levels drop. Even if they do mate, they're not as likely to be as fertile. So I just want to watch those bulls really carefully, because again, one cow goes bad, it only affects her. But if that bull goes bad, it affects a lot of cows.
And it can probably be pretty important on these yearlings too, to make sure they're not getting picked on or
one of the things we've looked at lots of different breeding groups, and yeah, these yearling bulls, sometimes our best breeders, the ones that are out there doing the best job and really aggressively breeding cows those first couple of weeks, well, then they lose a lot of body condition and look kind of ragged. They may need to be pulled out of the pasture and given a rest and let some other bulls fill in for them for a while. So again, just be flexible as far as there are times when you'll need to pull bulls out of a breeding pasture if you're getting some fighting between bulls, or one looks like he's really dropping off in body condition. Just leaving him out there isn't a good solution, because like I said, he's probably dropping in fertility. Even if he was great before, I want the bulls that are out there actively mating to be the ones that are most likely to be fertile.
Well, great points as always, and I really appreciate what you do, and thanks for being on the show.
That's good to be here.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
Folks, Dr. Bob Larson, he's the Coleman Chair of Production Medicine at the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University. We're lucky to have him at Kansas State University serving the beef producers of our state. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian, and if you want to know more about what Bob and I do here at the vet school, you can find us on the web at www.vet.ksu.edu. You've been watching Doc Talk. I'm sure glad you joined us. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. Doc Talk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.